So, I just want to take a few minutes today and talk about something that I hear come up in sessions with clients a lot, and that is healthy versus unhealthy comparisons. And by that I mean comparing ourselves to others. So, I'll start by giving an example of a type of comparison or perspective taking that I think can be really useful in everyday life. And for that, I'm going to use an example of, let's say that my refrigerator breaks, right? And I will say I personally just have a pet peeve about having to buy something new when I already have one, just because it breaks or because it wears out. It just like really personally frustrates me. But so in this example, say my refrigerator breaks, and I probably would like hem and haw and complain, like, oh, I can't believe I have to spend money on a new refrigerator, blah, 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 and feel really crappy about it. But it can also be helpful if I take a step back and go, wait, I am actually in a really fortunate position, right? I have the resources that if my refrigerator breaks, I can get a new one, right? And I live in a place and I have an expectation that I'll own a refrigerator and that I'll have the ability to keep my food cold, right? So I'm actually very fortunate that when I have a problem and something breaks, I can fix it. Even if I'm also frustrated at it, I realize that I'm in a good place, that I'm lucky because of being able to take care of my needs. Right? So that kind of taking perspective can be helpful in dealing with like everyday frustrations or stressors that come up. What I hear people do a lot, though, that can actually cause a lot of pain, is when people have a tendency to compare their pain or their suffering to others and then beat themselves up because they're not feeling great. Like a lot of times people who are really smart and kind and intelligent and very aware of their own privilege and success in the world really will take this on too, and they'll say, oh, I'm feeling depressed, but what the hell's wrong with me, because there are people living in third world countries who don't have food. So like, who am I? How do I get to be depressed? Right? Or how do I deal with this grief because there are people in war-torn countries not even sure if they're going to be attacked every day, right? So what's wrong with me that I'm grieving over this loss in my life? And what I hear is that when we do things like that, it really feeds into this cycle of blame and shame where we start to beat ourselves up. And we're already feeling awful because of whatever emotional turmoil we're going through. And then we blame ourselves for feeling awful, which just feeds in to this whole black hole of awfulness and makes us feel worse. And then the worse we feel, the more we beat ourselves up. Right? So it just becomes this really vicious cycle. And what I say to clients when they share this with me is that I hear that they are kind, thoughtful people who know that there's a lot of suffering that happens in the world. And that's awful. I hate, it's heartbreaking sometimes the suffering that goes on in the world. And yet, one person's suffering doesn't discount another person's. Right? It's all a very subjective personal experience. And blaming yourself for your own pain just because someone else is in pain doesn't make their situation better, nor does it make yours better. Right? So what I really invite all of us to do is to practice having some compassion and kindness for ourselves when we're feeling bad, knowing that we can also care about other people and their pain without taking on that added guilt and shame about our own struggle, because we're all human. And yes, there are different circumstances and different situations, but no one person's pain erases someone else, right? Suffering is suffering, and we all deserve support and kindness and help for our suffering. So that's my invitation to you today, to just be a little more gentle with yourself and don't feel like you have to do so much blaming and comparison if you're having a rough time. And if you are, please feel free to reach out too. Here at Thrive, we always love to help and provide support. All right, take care. Hope you have a good rest of your day.